Hi, I'm Dia Taylor, and I'm one of the producers of How Deep is the Ocean? So, I started film production about 13 years ago, starting out as a production assistant and a second assistant director on my aunt's films. From then, I did a short course at NIDA. I studied a bit of film at high school, and after high school, I went on to do my Bachelor of Film Production at SAE Melbourne. In 2015, I directed my first debut feature called Marital Problems, which premiered in 2017 and was at the 2018 Melbourne Underground Film Festival, where it won Best Original Screenplay and Best Comedy, so that was pretty cool. I worked on my first feature film in 2014, which was Samuel McDermott's The Green Woman, where I was first assistant director and later promoted to associate producer. After that, I have directed, produced, written, DOP'd numerous short films, music videos, ads, and whatnot. The most recent features I've worked on would be Nathan Hill's Eye Portrait, which I was director of photography on, and Rebecca Ann Bentley's Kill Me, Kill Me, where I was camera assistant. So, I never really decided to be a producer. My first plan was to become a director. But of course, starting out, you'd always produce your own work. You have to organize it, or else no one else will. So I never really realized that I was actually producing, as well as directing and writing. During university, I was often placed in the producer's role, as it was the role that no one else wanted to do. I don't really know why, because I wasn't very organized back then. But film school and life is somewhat similar, because now working in the industry, no one wants to produce unless they absolutely have to. So I sort of fell into producing. I wasn't very organized, like I said, but I sort of forced myself into it. And I've learnt a lot, producing multiple features and short films and whatnot. And I always wanted to tell stories, and help other people tell their stories in a way that was both visual and auditory. And filmmaking was just a way to do that, and producing films was a way to make films. So that's how I got into producing. What will I bring to the table? That is an interesting question, considering being a producer, you kind of organize the table. I guess to this film, I'll be bringing my expertise, well, not expertise, my knowledge of, having produced multiple films. A lot of people as well think that the producer's role isn't a creative one, and I can see why. I mean, that's the main reason why a lot of filmmakers choose not to do it, is because it's very businessy. There's a lot of paperwork and contracts and marketing and networking and all that. But I still believe that the producer's role can be a creative one. I mean, you are in charge of, the hiring of crew, and paperwork of locations, and, choosing the right people for the right job. So for this film, I'm definitely going to be bringing in my own sort of creativeness alongside Andrew's, of course, as much as I can, being a producer. So yeah, I guess my creativeness and my knowledge, as well as a team of awesome people. So I run my own production company called Tamanari Productions. We specialize in film production and event videography. At the moment, we have a feature film called Jet currently in the works, as well as a web series called Wanda and Sully, as well as numerous other short films such as Little Miseries and Daughters. We've mostly done short films in the past, but we're branching out. So when I first met Andrew, I was interviewing him as part of my web series, The Independents. I never really met or spoken to him before, let alone knew who he was. But we just had this instant sort of connection, like we were both very on the same page, I felt. And that was the first time he mentioned that he was, working on his debut feature film. And I remember working on my debut feature film and how scary and stressful it was. And I put my hand up, because I wish someone had done that for me. And we talked about the film a bit more, How Deep is the Ocean, and I just really connected with it. The film itself is about a young girl from out of town who moves to Melbourne and deals with all the stresses of Melbourne. And I myself, originally being from Geelong and before that Brisbane, moving up to Melbourne in 2012, I can definitely relate to the struggles that Eleanor goes through, especially in the big city. And this film as well, it has a very Melbourne touch, which I think a lot of films these days in the independent scene are lacking. I mean, we live in this beautiful city that has so much culture to it, and we don't really express that enough. I just feel like this film really showcases Melbourne on the international scene. So that the story was definitely what drew me to the film, of course. That being said as well, Andrew himself, having seen his other short films, Growing Out and I Miss the War, I could definitely see that he had a beautiful vision, a very unique vision, and he put his heart and soul into everything he did, which is no different from this film. And I could definitely see that he was a quality director as well as person. So working with Andrew was a definite bonus to this great story, and so that's what drew me to the film. People should watch this film because it is a genuine story that tells real people, real situations, and the true goings on of what happens when you're in a big city you're not aware of. It is a female-led story directed by a male, which is very interesting. Andrew doesn't it's not sexist whatsoever. The female characters are all strong characters, even though they have their flaws, which is fantastic. There's not enough female-led films out there, I believe. As well, support Australian independent cinema. We don't get a lot of support these days, and there's a lot of great independent films out there. If you just have a look, a lot of the independent films I find are often better than our mainstream cinema, so definitely support your independent artists and check out How Deep is the Ocean. Well, I've been Dia Taylor, and thank you for listening. I will see you at the premiere.